Hey guys! So this week we're starting Julius Caesar, and I love this play and I think it's a lot of fun. Usually if we were in class we'd do this play in about a week. We're going to stretch it out over 2 weeks just so you don't get too overwhelmed. There's a lot of stuff in it and it's Shakespeare. So I know that it's going to be a little more difficult than like a regular text, but it's not going to be so hard that you can't do this. And I think you're going to really like it. It's all about murder and treachery and deceit, so it's fun stuff, right? And it's a Shakespearean tragedy, so you know what that means. So if you look at your haiku page, right below this you're gonna see a YouTube video that is basically the whole play in 10 minutes. So it's a SparkNotes summary of the play. Watch this so that you know what the heck's going on. Okay, we're not gonna read the whole play. We're basically only reading 4 speeches from the play. But by the time you're done with this, you'll get the whole gist of the whole thing, okay? So watch this explanation first, okay? Then you'll scroll down and you'll see a block called What is Honor? A Definition. And there's an article from a website that I love called Art of Manliness, and it's about what is honor. You're going to read that, and then there's a supplemental video clip of what honor might look like in a modern interpretation about the military. So what we're going to talk about in our discussion forum at the beginning of the week, if you could just watch that video and then read that article and post, is like, what does it mean to live an honorable life? And what does this have to do with Julius Caesar? Well, honor is the thing that motivates Brutus. Brutus is Julius Caesar's best friend. And in it, he is convinced by another group of people, namely Cassius, to murder Julius Caesar, his best friend. So how does that happen? Well, if you know anything about Brutus and what motivates him and what he loves above everything else, it's honor and love of country. So to really get at what motivates and drives Brutus, you have to understand what is honor, and not just by modern terms, but like what did honor mean in ancient Rome. So that's what this is for, and we'll be talking about it in our discussion forum. The next thing that you'll see on your page is something called What is Rhetoric? And all of this is rhetorical devices, all of which we have gone over except for maybe 2, which I have briefly mentioned and you probably don't remember. And they have the weirdest names, but I don't want you to be put off by that. One is anaphora, which is just the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive clauses, okay? And one is anadiplosis, which is where you repeat the last word of a sentence or clause at the beginning of the next sentence or clause, okay? And I've given you an example on the page. Essentially, anaphora and anadiplosis are both rhetorical devices that rely on repeated words. And the reason that speech writers and writers use repeated words is to emphasize something, okay? So when you're looking at these speeches, look for where are the repeated words? What's being said over and over again? That's a key thing that you need to be looking at. It means something. They're repeating it for a reason, right? So when we do rhetorical analysis, we're basically breaking it down and looking at what are they saying and how are they saying it and what's the ulterior motive, because this play is all about ulterior motives, okay? We talked about parallelism, and we did parallelism in our own writing several weeks ago in class. And there's a link on that at the bottom that says Parallelism in Brutus's Speech, and it gives you really, really good examples. You do not have to answer these questions, but I do want you to look at it because it gives you excellent examples of how is parallelism set up and structured in the speech and what's the effect, okay? So you're going to need that when you're writing about this, so be sure that you don't overlook that. Then you're going to come down and you're going to see Act 1, Scene 2, and Act 2, Scene 1. And both of those blocks have 3 things. The first thing says text for annotation. That's the actual speech from the play. And it is in Shakespearean English, right? When I say annotate, I want you, since it's online, to just on a scrap sheet of paper, on a notebook paper, just take notes on what you think is going on, okay? You may not get every single line. There may be words that are unfamiliar, but for the most part, you can take each stanza and summarize what you think is kind of going on, what's happening. Get the gist of it. You know more than you think you do, so just trust yourself on that, okay? The second link, it says, is a modern translation, and that will link you up to No Fear Shakespeare. That's going to explain in modern terms what all of those things are. So just use it as a self-check, okay? After you've written your annotation and looked at what do I think this means, then check it and say, was I close? Did I get it? Did I miss anything? And then the third thing says guided writing prompts. You've got number 1 and number 2 on the second one. Those are 2 fill in the blank paragraphs. You're going to click on that link, make a copy of it, and then literally just fill in the blanks. It's a race prompt, so it's set up very similarly to what you're used to, but it's literally like fill in the blank. And if you click on it, you'll notice that in the first sentence, it says something to the effect of, in his speech to Brutus, Cassius blank verb in parentheses. What those things in parentheses are telling you what goes in the blank. So like, it's so simple, it's probably confusing to you. It's basically like, in his speech to Brutus, Cassius says, states, demands. Any of those things are verbs, right? And you put that in there. That blank, what is Cassius's claim? What's he saying to Brutus? Okay? And then the next part is asking, Cassius appeals to Brutus's what? His emotions, his logic, or his ethics, okay? And those are slightly different things, and we're going to talk about those in our Google Meet as well. So if you're stuck on any of this stuff and you're not 100% sure, the time to come is Wednesday at 10 o'clock to our Google Meet and say, I was thinking this, and see if it's right, okay? And if you're not sure on the first one, if you've done it correctly and you want to share it with me and get some feedback before you do your second one, that's totally fine, okay? So basically, your whole assignment for the week is going to be to talk about honor in the discussion forum, to look over rhetoric, which you are going to need a lot next week, so be sure that you do that, okay? Not if I don't have a checklist on it or whatever, and I haven't made you turn something in, doesn't mean I want you to skip over it, because you're going to really need it, and you need to look at it now so you can ask me questions for what you'll need to do next week, okay? So look over that, and then do the 2 guided writing prompts, and those you're both going to share with me in the Google Doc, okay? Guided writing prompt 1 and number 2. Okay. Also on this page, I will include a video of me talking you through the text. So whatever you don't get in No Fear Shakespeare, you got a third try at it by listening to me walk you through some of what the sentences mean. Okay. So hopefully we'll get through this. Next week we'll finish up with the two last speeches and do an evaluation writing prompt on it, and yeah. So good luck, have fun with it, enjoy it, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Bye.